Hi everybody, so this is part 2 of a COVID Denier catches COVID. I read through the first half of the article and I stopped off at zinc. So let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Lisa Ann Homick from Homick Advanced Chiropractic, where we advance your life by reacquainting you with your body, and Brain First Boot Camp. So I make these videos because there's so much life-changing information I want to share with you. We don't have time during your chiropractic appointment, so we have this online opportunity to do so. And number 2, why do I make these videos? Because everyone must grow their talents every day. You can't do that with an impaired brain. And I am going to implore you, challenge you, to expand your talents beyond your comfort zone. So let's boost that brain. We need your full participation in the world. Your talents can help make the world a better place. I teach the Brain First protocol because brain first, body follows. If you do body first and ignore the brain, that's why healthcare is in such a mess. So let's flip that around. These videos introduce you to the Brain First Boot Camp, and you can kick some tires here. And I don't do things in any particular order. There's little snippets here and there, and you can actually put the key in the ignition and drive the car instead of kicking the tires. You can do that by signing up for some Brain First coaching sessions. And let's not go through life with brain drain. Even brain death is an actual medical diagnosis you don't want to have anything to do with. Your spine-brain circuitry needs to be nurtured. So let's go. We are here at part 2, so go back to part 1 and catch up if you're not sure what I am talking about at all. I left off, Sally Farrell-Morell was giving her nutritional recommendations for overcoming this illness where you're just wiped out, totally wiped out because of different forces around here. I finished off with vitamin C. Next is zinc. I'm reading along and I'm going to add in my comments. Zinc, another key nutrient for COVID recovery. As zinc is an important cofactor for vitamin A, it helps reactivate the central nervous system, which is depressed by exposure to this electrical pollution. She said FIVEG and intense WIFI. I'm just going to call it electrical pollution, and you know what I mean. There are many zinc supplements on the market, but I prefer to get my zinc from food. Best sources are oysters and red meat. If you don't like oysters, desiccated oyster capsules are a good choice. Red meat in the form of steak tartare, which is raw hamburger mixed with egg yolks, chopped onions, and salt, is a great food for recovery from any illness. Are you getting hungry? It's almost lunchtime for me. Especially any illness like COVID-19, which responds well to zinc supplementation in many cases. Oysters and red meat are also good sources of selenium, another nutrient that can be helpful in the recovery from COVID. Okay, back again. Next on the list is saturated fat. Saturated fat supports hormone production, kidney function, and especially lung function. The lungs cannot work without adequate saturated fat. Most importantly, saturated fats help build strong, robust cell membranes, which provides a hydrophilic surface for the water in our cells, which forms a structured exclusion zone against these cell membranes. The exclusion zone has a negative charge and fundamentally acts as a wire to carry electric charge. Having smooth, robust cell membranes is like having well-insulated wiring throughout our body, providing good resistance to EMF insults like the FIVEG. A diet high in polyunsaturates, also known as industrial seed oils or vegetable oils, will result in cell membranes that are leaky and floppy. So anything made from a seed, when they take a seed and turn that into an oil, that is not really how Mother Nature intended it. And you don't want a leaky and floppy cell membrane. It's going to make you more vulnerable to the invisible assaults of this electric pollution, electromagnetic frequencies. Saturated fats like butter, lard, tallow, and coconut oil should form the basis of any diet, especially a diet for recovery from COVID. Liver and egg yolks, the next one on the list, are best sources of choline. Yes, liver and egg yolk can help counteract the big word coming up. It will help counteract the cholinesterase inhibiting effects of FIVEG. As soon as the appetite returns, include scrambled eggs or egg yolk smoothies and liver or pate in your diet. Pate, that's how you say it, pate. Long-term protection. It would be foolish to think that once we have had COVID, we are immune from ever getting it again. We might be more resistant, but never completely immune. So it makes sense to take steps to protect ourselves. A nutrient-dense diet plus the supplements listed above constitute a first-line defense, of course, but there are other strategies we should implement. Eat organic as much as possible, especially organic grains, to lessen your exposure to glyphosate. More importantly, avoid biodiesel fumes from buses and other public transportation vehicles. As explained by Stephanie Seneff, biodiesel fumes contain glyphosate, so it's going to be everywhere. Glyphosate can suppress certain lung surfactants and compromise lung function. This reminds me of a Weston A. Price article way back in 2020. I'm going to have to pull it out and revisit it, because when you look at China, they burn tons of fuel, and the glyphosate is in it now. If you're going to burn the biodiesel fuel, if you're making fuel from corn, which everybody thinks is the awesomest thing on the planet, but they spray it with this stuff, and now you're going to breathe it when it's burned. And I think when you burn it, that must make it even doubly worse. I'll have to find that article. Since FIVEG suppresses the sympathetic nervous system and inhibits cholinesterase, it makes sense to avoid pesticides that act as cholinesterase inhibitors. The number one offender is non-organic citrus fruits and fruit juices, especially commercial orange juice. Since citrus is heavily sprayed with cholinesterase inhibiting pesticides, to protect ourselves, we should eat foods containing plenty of choline, such as egg yolk and liver. In her Questioning COVID article, Ilana Nerpi, she notes that those on inhibitory drugs seem to be most vulnerable to COVID. Drugs such as antipsychotics and cholesterol-lowering medications, you know them as statins, benzodiazepines also, opioids also, barbiturates, proton pump inhibitors, ACE inhibitors, the list is continuing, and other drugs to lower blood pressure. These drugs depress the central nervous system, as does microwave radiation. The combination of both make for a poor outcome. You can come off statins cold turkey, but the other drugs, including blood pressure medications, require a gradual weaning. Inhibitory recreational drugs like marijuana and opium also make users vulnerable to the effects of microwave radiation and other types of electric pollution, electromagnetic frequencies. Above all, make your home environment as free from the electromagnetic radiation as possible. That means using a computer rather than a tablet or cell phone. Have the computer wired in and turn off the router. Your mouse, keyboard, and printer should also be wired. An EMF meter held up to your computer should show a green light, indicating that it is safe to use. Minimize use of cell phones and even cordless phones. Use an old-fashioned corded landline. And never put a cell phone or cordless phone up to your ear. Don't keep a cell phone in your bedroom while you sleep. Increase your supplements before and after traveling. And do your best to avoid crowds where many people will have cell phones. Until the public learns about the dangers of microwave radiation and they take steps to minimize EMF in theaters, stadiums, airports, and other public places, it is the prudent thing to do. That's the end of the article, but I'm going to jump to the sidebars. And one is about the dangers of vitamin D supplementation. I know everybody's taking it, everyone's talking about it. As long as it's in a bottle and you pop it in your mouth, that makes it easy. Well, guess what? No. The Weston A. Price Foundation does not recommend vitamin D supplements. Only vitamin D from food such as cod liver oil, egg yolks, animal fats like lard and organ meats, where it is balanced by its cofactors, vitamin A and vitamin K2. They come together like a family. You can't leave them out. Vitamin D taken on its own can rapidly deplete vitamins A and K2. Taking large doses of vitamin D can also induce severe depletion of magnesium. As magnesium is essential to the metabolism of vitamin D enhances mineral absorption and can lead to hypercalcemia, which is a dangerously high level of calcium in the blood. And higher levels of vitamin D have also been linked to enhanced absorption of toxic elements such as aluminum, cadmium, cobalt, and lead. So if you're taking vitamin D out of a bottle, you may be shoving these metals into your brain, unfortunately. Let me repeat them. Aluminum, cadmium, cobalt, and lead. Unfortunately, during the COVID pandemic, many are taking very high doses of vitamin D from supplements, even up to 10,000 IU per day or more. Symptoms of vitamin D overdose include vomiting, nausea, poor appetite, excessive thirst, excessive urine production, loss of weight, abdominal pain, dehydration, constipation, diarrhea, itchy skin, severe headaches, irritability, and nervousness. Heart rhythm irregularities, increased risk of heart disease, and high blood pressure as well as renal failure are symptoms of vitamin D overdose. So I'm not sure what they call a vitamin D overdose, but if you're not feeling well, consider this. As noted by Chris Masterjohn, kidney stones are another danger of excess vitamin D. Lifeguards in Israel have 20 times the rate of kidney stones as the general population. According to Master John, kidney stones may be the most sensitive indicator of vitamin D toxicity and are a symptom of vitamin A and vitamin K2 deficiency. So don't leave them out. 1 teaspoon of cod liver oil can supply about 1,000 IU, that's international units, of vitamin D. That, plus vitamin D ingested from other foods such as egg yolk, lard, seafood, and organ meats is plenty. Vitamin D supplements are unnecessary and can put us at risk. Here's another sidebar on this page about, can I say it out loud? Ivermectin. There's been a lot of news about this drug. It's used to treat heartworm in animals and parasite infestations in humans. Since using the drug to treat COVID, it's strongly opposed by the CDC and the Food and Drug Administration. Many have concluded that it must be okay. If they don't like it, let's take it. But does it make sense to take a drug to treat parasites for an illness like COVID, which has no relationship with parasitic disease, and especially a drug that has many side effects, like hydroxychloroquine, the ivermectin, I'm just going to say it, seems to interact with cholinesterase, but it also depresses the nervous system. Now, people say they do very well within days of taking this drug. Well, that tells me they've got parasites. They're already full of filth, because that's what parasites are attracted to. So you do get some type of a detoxification effect, and if you are detoxed, you are going to feel better. That makes sense. Makes sense to me. But these other side effects need to be taken into consideration as well. The package insert for stromectol, a version of ivermectin, lists a host of negative effects, including fatigue, abdominal pain, anorexia, constipation, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, somnolence, vertigo, tremor, rash, hives, leukopenia, and anemia. One study described abnormal sensation in the eyes, eyelid edema, anterior uveitis, conjunctivitis, limbitis, keratitis, and chorioretinitis or choroiditis. All bad things for the eyes. Also of concern is a study from Nigeria showing that males treated with this drug for river blindness attributed to the parasitic worm Acocerca volvula, whatever that worm is, displayed significant reduction in sperm counts and sperm motility, with a significant increase in the number of abnormal sperm cells. This took the form of sperm with 2 heads or double tails. Listen to this. 2 heads or double tails? Oh my gosh. Albino sperm and sperm with extraordinarily large heads. So I don't know if we want to talk about that into more detail, but there you go. It makes sense to avoid ivermectin therapy, not because the CDC opposes it, and not because alternative groups endorse it, but because it is a dangerous toxic drug with side effects that outweigh possible benefits for the COVID sufferer. Last sidebar, I'm just going to go through it briefly. She has suggestions what to keep in your COVID kit. Along with the dietary strategies, she found the following remedies helpful as part of her COVID kit, like quinine water, Lugol solution, turpentine, Vicks Vapor Rub, and homeopathics. They are inexpensive and easily available. It makes sense to have these on hand in case COVID strikes. So she talks about the tincture of quinine. The original natural remedy is quinine. So hydroxychloroquine resembles quinine, but this is the natural version. Oh, it's a certain bark. It reactivates cholinesterase. It's inhibited by Lugol solution is called the magic bullet for fighting the COVID pandemic, both a curative and preventive, because it's iodine. It should be a part of any treatment for COVID-19. The safest way to take it is a small patch on the skin. The body will slowly absorb what it needs. Turpentine. If you breathe the fumes of turpentine, it's an old folk remedy for the lungs. And she explains how to do it. You want to do it carefully. Vicks Vapor Rub. In 1899, the Merck Manual listed turpentine as a cure and preferred treatment for a variety of diseases, and many medicinal products contained turpentine, primarily topical ointments for the treatment of rheumatic disorders and muscle pain. A gum derived from turpentine was also used in traditional Chinese medicine for toothache. Today, only one medicinal product contains turpentine, and that is Vicks Vapor Rub. I use this as a back and chest rub and found that it gave significant, although temporary, relief of the lung pain. Homeopathic adrenal, she talks about that. After about 3 weeks, my energy and sense of smell returned. The lung pain was better, but not completely gone. I felt a mild but chronic ache in the middle of my chest, and so she talks about these homeopathic adrenal formulations. 2 days, the pain was gone. She could take a deep breath and walk up a hill. without getting winded. A finger pulse meter, an important device to have on hand. A recent invention, easy to use and inexpensive, the pulse oximeter fits on a finger and measures both pulse and percentage of dissolved oxygen in the blood. Normally you should be at 95 or above. An oxygen level below 88 for any length of time can be dangerous. If your oxygen level's below 85, get thee to a practitioner who can give you oxygen, or even as a last resort to a hospital. An oxygen level of 80 and lower puts your vital organs in danger. What I found interesting is that my fatigue abated. As her fatigue abated, the levels of dissolved oxygen rose. When I got to 95%, I was feeling fine, and now a reading of 97 to 98% is typical. My pulse rate also gradually went down from over 100 to her normal 72. So that is the end of the article. I hope this information was helpful. This is all just natural ways to address the stresses of modern life, and that we need to take seriously. I hope you enjoyed this. I have another short article to present to you and another video. Look forward to that. Look at the blog. Look at check. What are you supposed to check on this YouTube video? Check you like it, thumbs up, whatever, subscribe, whatever the YouTube stuff is, so you don't miss the next video. And I am glad you stuck it out, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.